I'm Danny Kramer. In the film A More Perfect Union, we hear the words, "The business of government is compromise," which were spoken by the plain-speaking delegate from Connecticut, Roger Sherman. And he was right. Without numerous compromises, the convention would have split apart and America would have had no constitution. And as we have seen, the issue of representation in the new Congress was the most troublesome issue of all. Defenders of the Virginia Plan, mostly delegates from large states, did not see how the democracy for which they had fought in the Revolution could be upheld except on the basis of proportional representation. But delegates from the small states didn't see how it could be upheld except on the basis of one state, one vote. Was the convention destined to fracture over this issue? Luckily, a compromise was found, conceived by Roger Sherman and worked out in a committee composed of one delegate from each state. It was called the Grand Committee. Each state would be given equal representation in the Senate, regardless of its population. In the House of Representatives, states with larger populations would be represented by more delegates than those with smaller populations. All resolutions would have to pass both chambers in order to become law. The compromise assured the larger states that no law would be passed in Congress without the approval of the majority of Americans. It assured the smaller states that no law would be passed without the majority of states voting for it, whatever their population size. So neither side really lost. Laws passed by the new Congress would have to be approved under both systems of representation. Not a bad compromise. But as we shall see, it was one that was hard to accept.
You see the consequence of pushing things too far. If you had followed Mr. Sherman's compromise, your plan would never have been returned to committee. But you insist on sweeping all before you to the advantage of the large states.
To no one's advantage, sir, but the American people's.
Indeed. Then this convention meets in vain. Where is the advantage to the American people then?
Mr. Madison, do you like music? It seems to me we have achieved a great deal at this convention. As the architect of the Virginia Plan, you are to be congratulated.
Thank you, sir.
But now, it is time to compromise on the composition of the Senate.
Never. It's inequitable.
True.
And now they want to refer the Virginia Plan back into committee. I think Sherman is behind that.
In Roger Sherman, you may well find the salvation of your plan. His compromise brought the small states closer to its adoption than any other speech made on the floor.
You voted against it. So did Dr. Franklin.
We were wrong to do so. We must take care. Another loss, and proud men like Dickinson will abandon the convention.
Well, let them. We still maintain the majority.
A simple majority is not enough. What we need, Mr. Madison, is consensus among us, harmony. That alone will ensure the Constitution's success.
History will not forgive us.
History?
Yes.
You persuaded me to come to this convention. Well, here I am, Mr. Madison. And I will not see this convention crumble around me because the brightest and stubbornest of us will not yield the Senate to the states.
It is not only me, sir. You heard Mr. Wilson say that Pennsylvania will not confederate on the one state, one vote principle.
Pennsylvania?
Yes.
Let Pennsylvania take care of itself. I'm very fond of this music. It is so harmonious.
The larger states proceed as if we were blind. Now, Mr. Madison insists that the large states will never hurt the small states if we give up our equality in the Senate. But I do not trust you, sir. Let the large states do as they like. There are other recourses for the smaller states. We can find some foreign ally, someone of more honor and good faith who will take us by the hand and do us justice.
What Mr. Bedford has spoken is treason. As for myself, whatever may be my distress, I will never court relief from a foreign power.
As debated and amended, this compromise provides for a lower house which represents the states according to their population. In the upper house, each state will have 2 senators. Each senator will have 1 vote. I remind the gentleman, his vote will be binding. Massachusetts.
Massachusetts is divided, sir. What? Mr. Strong and I vote aye. Mr. King and Mr. Gorham vote no.
Very well. Connecticut.
Connecticut votes in favor of the Grand Committee's compromise.
New Jersey.
Aye.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, despite its elder statesmen being on the committee, concludes that it will vote against its report. My disappointment over this is mitigated by the fact that at least I live here in Philadelphia and can be carried to my home each night of this interminable convention.
Delaware.
Aye.
Maryland.
Aye.
Please, you could be with us for this vote, Mr. Jennifer. Virginia. No.
With exception.
Noted, sir. North Carolina.
North Carolina is in favor of the compromise.
South Carolina.
No!
Georgia.
No.
With Massachusetts divided, New York ineligible, and New Hampshire absent, the compromise report passes in General Assembly. 5 states to 4.
We've done it. Mr. Madison, there's still a great many issues to debate in this convention, and
No good government can be built upon the foundation proposed by the small states. Nor will it.
I agree.
It's time to move on to other matters. The small states are fixed. We must yield on the representation issue.
At last, someone sees the truth of the matter. The small states have compromised, gentlemen. Now we must.
You are strangely quiet, Mr. Madison.
Judge Wilson and Dr. Franklin are correct. No one could be more disappointed than myself that the convention has chosen what to me seems an unjust system. This great compromise has created a new kind of nation, one such as I had never considered. Its national government is strong and sovereign, but it has states which are also strong. Separate states, but a united people. It is neither man nor horse, but like the centaur, half of each. I don't know whether such a creature can survive in the rough and tumble of the world. But I am willing to make the hazard. I am for the compromise. I am for the United States of America. When the compromise report of the Grand Committee was approved, a key issue of the convention was decided.
It was hard for James Madison and others to compromise on such a fundamental issue. However, compromise among the delegates is what eventually made it possible for them to arrive at a constitution which almost all of them were able to support enthusiastically, even though the finished product was quite different from what any of the delegates, including Madison, had imagined it would be. It's important to remember that this kind of compromise between interests is still essential for free government today.